I don't know how you want to start the intro off.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I'm your Ed McMahon to your Jimmy Carson.
Oh,
That's
okay.
how that's
I'm
how this goes.
I'm just the straight up host then. I wasn't aware of how we were. Okay. Do you have the Milanote thing up?
I do.
Nice. Okay. So, um, hello everybody. Welcome to the Eternal Kingdom podcast. I don't know if we have an official name for it.
Roundtable reports is what I
Roundtable
last
report.
heard.
Thank you. Welcome to the Roundtable report. It's Jazzy and I here to talk about some exciting things going on with Dragonflight and what's going on with Dragonflight within the guild. More on that later. Jazzy, have you played the pre-patch event?
Oh, I have. I've been farming transmog, heirlooms, doing the dungeons, going, why is there so much turquoise green in all the dungeon queues? It's been fun.
How have you liking it? How have you been
So
liking it?
so far so good. The new
Mhm.
talents are a lot of fun.
The new
I've
talents
been
are
having a lot of fun.
so
Yeah.
much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And Uldaman is, well, it's Uldaman.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not really much to say about that. Everybody knows what Ultimate is.
Exactly. I like the Lost Vikings in there. They're a lot of fun. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've just been grinding stuff out, getting tunes prepped because I have like 6 tanks to level for trying.
Six
I do.
tanks.
Yeah, I'm terrible to myself sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I unfortunately have not had time to do the pre-patch event yet, but hopefully, it sounds like it's pretty cool. So hopefully, I get to try it out later today.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just go kill a whole bunch of stuff. Everybody's just constantly killing stuff, and then kill the boss, and then
Mm-hmm.
repeat.
And with Dragonflight coming up, we don't have any borrowed power, which is really cool. Uh,
Our quote unquote borrowed power is the talent tree that isn't going away, so not really borrowed. Yeah,
yeah,
it's very strange.
yeah.
Hopefully I can actually play alts this time.
With no borrowed power, that makes dragon riding like the main feature of Dragonflight.
It is,
Yeah,
but what's weird is apparently you can just spend like 20 to 40 minutes, go get all the upgrades, and then you're done forever on
yeah,
any tune. Which is,
yeah.
I'm just, yes,
if
please,
any
more of that, please,
if
yeah.
anybody doesn't know what dragon riding is this cool new feature where you get to like basically fly on a dragon in the dragonflight zones, and the more tomes that you find out in the world, the more flying you can do, the longer flying you can do, the higher up you can go, all this stuff. And it's all account wide, so that's what Jazz was saying. Once you're done forever.
Yeah, and it works a lot like the new talent trees, where there's a few that are choice nodes that you get to pick from, and you can tailor it specifically to really boost your gathering abilities for professions that I know we'll talk about it a little bit. But basically, every time you gather a mining node, you get increased stuff, and you just get to go gather more stuff even faster. So it's real nice to be able to fly around, get the zoomies, and dip and dive and duck and dodge and race and PvP races. You can race each other. Did you hear
Yeah,
about this?
yes, I did hear
Oh
about
man,
this.
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And having done a little bit of the dragon riding, it's a
Dragon
lot of
riding
fun.
is really fun, and I only played around with it at the beginning of beta, so I didn't really even get upgrades or experience any of that. But it's really fun still, even if you just have like the start of it, like the three. You start off with like no talents and like three bars or something. It's still really
I think
fun.
I think it's called Vigor, if I recall.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
something like that. You'll get to a point where you can just basically indefinitely stay in the air, which is great because now instead of just going in a loop in the main city, you can just do a loop of the continent.
What could arguably be the best feature is the fact that you get to choose your own dragon, customize your dragon.
Yeah, I think there's what 4 different base models, and then you get
Yeah,
to really, for lack of a better word, pimp it out from there.
there's a proto drake, a velocidrake, a wilder drake, and a classic drake, and they all look pretty dang cool.
Yeah, they put a lot of customization in there. I even the customization, I the Drakthir, which I'm sure we'll talk about Oh man, that was a whole hour and a half worth of which horn style do I like?
Yeah, yeah, Draktyr are kind of insane. Um, Talents. We were talking a lot about talents. That's also a really huge feature coming. Well, it's already in the
Yeah,
game, technically.
it's already
It's
here.
part of Prepatch.
Don't have all of our talent points. We'll get more as we level through Dragonflight. But yeah, it's they focused a lot on customizability in aesthetics and playstyle and all that. And for the most part, I would say it's definitely paid off for him. I thoroughly enjoy the new talent system and getting to hear from my healers that we didn't get an interrupt because it's an HBS loss. That definitely has been a conversation. Um,
Interesting. I feel like the opposite's true for Monk, at least.
well, for Monk, yeah, but that's because we're amazing in all ways and most people are creating us. But no, for like and I'm sure sorry priests, but healing priests don't get
Yeah.
an interrupt because you have way too much utility.
Yeah.
Sarcasm inserted right there. But like we have a balanced druid that decided solar beam is a DPS loss, which for them it actually
Yeah,
is like
of
a
course.
significant DPS loss. But every time we're like, all right, just solar beam all these ads. I don't have that.
It's crazy to think that, like, you could be playing a shaman now without an interrupt. It's crazy to think that.
Yeah, and I would ask like, did you take Cap Totem?
Yeah.
No. Stop it.
Yeah, they've changed talents a lot, and it's like, you have to discuss with your raiders before you even think about raiding. Like, do you guys have these talents in your raid build? Because we're gonna need them. Like, especially with Anduin and stuff, how you need all those CCs, you gotta ask your hunters, do you guys have ice traps?
Yeah, did you take all that? And it's just it's like I enjoy the customizability of it. I like that you're able to play that selfish play style of no, my numbers are gonna go higher. That's great. As a raid lead, not so much.
Yeah. It's it's definitely a lot more flexible. I know for anybody who doesn't know, I main Mistweaver Monk. That's why I was joking with the monk stuff. As a Mistweaver Monk, I easily could take my interrupt and not lose any HPS because the monk baseline tree doesn't really have a ton of healing stuff. It's all in the Mistweaver tree. So the only thing I would be missing out on if I took an interrupt is like Touch of Death, but Mistweaver doesn't need Touch of Death talents.
What? A healer that doesn't do damage? What? Unacceptable.
I know, crazy. Um,
I'm a brewmaster and I have to take Soothing Mist to get my second
yeah,
charter roll.
that's
I'm not
insane to
salty at
me.
all.
That's insane to me. It forces you to pick Soothing Mist. That's
Like
crazy.
all they
Even
had to do is switch those two. That's really it. Just switch their location in the talent tree,
yeah,
and we're done. Like you can still even give Mistweaver Soothing Mist right off the hop, and we're fine. But like, why, Blizz?
but
Why?
even Windwalkers are forced to take Soothing Mist.
I know.
That doesn't make any sense.
And somebody did the math, I think, in Peaks Discord, and even an unbuffed, unprocced, completely vanilla Vivify does more healing as Brewmaster or Windwalker than Soothing Mist can.
Yeah,
Like, so you just never, ever cast Soothing Mist.
it's
It's
not
not
on
even
your
on your
bar.
bar.
Yeah, it's not.
Nowhere. Yeah. It's the epitome of a dead talent. But if we only have the one dead talent, I can't really complain.
Yeah, I was trying to mess around with Discipline Priest, and I don't know that I like it, which is weird because apparent according to Jack, who I watch for priest content, Automatic Jack, for those of you who might not know who that is, he plays priest. He's been playing priest for pretty much as long as he's been playing the game. He's a great priest content creator. He's been on world first teams. No longer on world first teams, which is interesting. But he loves Disc Priest, and I don't like it because it still feels the same, and I don't and like I don't know. It feels the same as it was in Shadowlands, which isn't great. but like we don't really use Spirit Shell anymore, which I also am not a fan of any other playstyle. I like the Spirit Shell playstyle, but it doesn't make sense with how Disc Priest is played now, so it's different. It's weird.
I've heard there's the two factions of disc priests, the
Yeah.
ones that like Spirit Shell and the ones that don't like Spirit Shell.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
yeah, I just remember in Castle Nathria where Spirit Shell go burr.
Yeah, yeah, and then they changed the cooldown time of Spirit Shell from a minute and a half to 2 minutes, or from 2 minutes to a minute and a half, and you'd think that'd be better, but it screwed everything up with the Spirit Shell build because of that weird minute and a half timer. But
Yeah, it's okay. The whole evangelism 3 minute, then now it's minute and a half, and then oh wait, no, it's I don't even remember what CD it's on now because it's been in so much turmoil and everybody's been
yeah,
crying.
yeah. But Disc Priests are in a really good spot now with a lot of the new talents that they get, and it's interesting too to see the like priest talent tree. If you look at like the main priest talent tree, there's very clear which side you're supposed to be on if you're healing or which you're not healing. But Disc Priest could go full DPS route and probably be fine. I don't think it's that good, but you can do it, which is interesting.
I mean, it'll make farm a little more interesting for the healers
Yeah.
because again, farm for healers kind of sucks because you tend to just drop healers, and instead of doing that, you just have your disc priests or your resto shamans or whatever go more DPS, and then they get to stay in and have fun and actually do meaningful damage ish.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even quite do tank damage, but still, it's not zero, and the other DPS can carry.
My Mistweaver can carry about 3k overall in a fight, so.
Okay.
And I could do more if I just didn't heal. But it's easy to heal as a Mistweaver because it's only one global cooldown. It's your, well, I guess it's a bit of a cast, but you cast Essence Font, you DPS, and that's your rotation. That hasn't changed. Yeah. Which is great that we still get to do that.
Yeah, it is. I don't really get to say anything about DPS numbers right now as a brewmaster because Resident Fist is broken. So I'm kind of enjoying everything being terrible right now.
Is there any like specific talents that you've seen from like different classes that we've talked about that you like think are really cool?
Let's see here. I really focus on the classes that I play. I like I'm really happy to have Ravager back on Prot Warrior, but I'm weird and I like Ravager. And
what's Ravager?
You throw down a swirling blade of death and it just kind of follows your
That's
cool.
It's
just a click it once every minute and a half and it just does damage, but it does a lot of damage.
Gotcha.
Fun. I've been playing Prot Warrior a little bit lately because it's stupidly broken.
It's
and
good again. I've heard it's probably gonna be the best tank of Dragonflight. I'm calling it.
Oh, easy there. Easy there. It's my monk you're hurting right there.
I know, but that's what a lot of people have said who play tanks.
I mean, it's true. As Dorky put it, they're basically immune to damage. So
yeah, exactly.
Constant everything. It's great.
Blizzard really did Prot Warriors good from making them go from 0 to 100.
Finally, I think it's been about 2 expansions before they were actually decent, and now they're back and doing real well. But like I said, I got 6 tanks I got to gear up and tune and all that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, Prot Warrior is gonna be number 2 because Brew is still my favorite, and I don't care what people say that it's so squishy. No, it's not. It's fine. I just have to be better than you.
It's not squishy because you have Stagger. That's the whole.
Our self-healing though is gone. Like they really nerfed it into the ground.
Interesting.
Pretty hard. That oddly enough, that 40% stam boost, it hurt. That was a nerf for us.
Wow, crazy.
Because they didn't buff none of our heals are percentage of max health, so it's all just raw. So yeah, our expel harm, our everything just does less.
Speaking of talents and new talents, professions have a whole new talent tree too.
Oh man, professions is a whole black hole unto themselves.
Yeah.
Oh man, not only do you have just the myriad of professions, now you have specs for the professions to make things easier, better, different, harder. It's a whole thing that you'll get to pick when the expansion launches, and I don't know if it's time gated, but it's definitely material gated to get your points into the professions so you can make certain stuff better. There's nothing that's like locked behind the specs of prof trees, but it's material gets decreased, quality gets increased, etc., etc. So it's a whole black hole that I'm still trying to wrap my head around how we're going to handle this with banking and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention, mats have a quality, and that feeds into the end result, which also has a quality. And yeah, fortunately, cooking doesn't have a quality, or at least the feasts
Oh,
don't.
good.
Thankfully.
That would be a mess.
But unfortunately, alchemy does, and just to make things
Like
complicated,
potions and
flasks are
flasks? Oh, flasks
yeah,
are gone.
flasks are gone. You now have these file things, which are
Right.
interesting and different, and they have a 30-minute duration, but you can stack them up to 2 and get the full hour, unless you're an alchemist, which that doubling thing still happens. Yeah, they have weird ones like there's one file that when you do your crit is increased by a metric ton, but then every time you take 100% of your health bar in damage, and get healed back or whatever, you take that 100% in damage again over 8 seconds. Like it's scary, but sorry healers.
Wow, that'll be really interesting.
Yeah. And
The crafting orders too.
And crafting orders where you could purchase stuff. It's a lot like our wonderful commissary that's run by Drop, but it's a little bit worse because it can't be spanned across multiple guilds. I say worse because there's actually a limit to people making the crafting orders. Like you can only craft, I believe the last numbers were 10 things. 10. You can only fulfill 10 orders per day
As a crafter.
but you can stockpile up to 3 days worth, so up to 30 crafting
Oh,
orders.
that's not too bad.
Yeah, but still, it only recharges that 10 per day. So it's a thing. Professions is going to be an extremely complex system, but I think after a certain amount of time, it's just going to work itself out and be a relative non-issue.
I'm just worried about Trade Skill Master being broken for a good while.
They were involved with the development, and I know there's one or two of the devs for Trade Skill Master actually work for Blues now. So
do they?
yeah, Trade Skill Master has been pretty on top of things, and they've been doing a lot of stuff on the back end to make it sure that everything works proper. So, also, big thing with Trade Skill Master that I don't know if anybody else besides me cares. They finally opened up their back end API, so now my spreadsheets all work again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Finally!
It
only took them 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it took a while. I remember when reading it go down, and everybody every day was like, when's the API coming back? And they had no answer for anybody. They just ignored it or just said, it's indefinitely. Like, it's down indefinitely. And, like, we weren't...
Poor Sapu and all the Trade Skill team was just like gumdrops and whatnot. They're so tired of fielding the questions of when the API is coming back.
Oh,
especially
of course.
The Jazzy, because I was incessant.
Dang Jazzy. But, yeah, so back to the quality ranks, too. There's 5, which I don't know why they thought 5 would be a good idea.
So there's 5 for armor.
Yes.
There's only 3 for consumables.
Oh, okay. 3 for consumables.
Yeah. So, top rank for potions and vials is only 3. The good news is when you get your skill up to max for, like, say, alchemy, even taking low quality mats, you can turn that into highest quality potion and file relatively easily. So that's not going to necessarily be a limiting factor.
Awesome.
While leveling it will be, but afterwards it won't be. And the good news is too, again, specifically alchemy, because of course I have to focus on that. Thank you, banking team. You can use the low quality files and potions in your research to get your spec points in. So there will be a need for the lower quality stuff, and if you have it just stockpiled around.
And the new profession gear.
Profession gear, which, in case you're wondering, you can equip your fishing pole right now and have one more bag slot. You can equip your ink set, your jewel crafting set, any armor items you have for your crafting. You can equip that right now as a profession item in pre-patch, so you can have a few more bag slots for those people that are hoarders, which are definitely not me.
Wow,
nope, that's not me at all.
Didn't know that. That's cool. That's awesome. Are professions in pre-patch?
So the back end portion of them is in. So like their UI and the profession equipment, that's all in. But the actual profession items and whatnot, not so much.
Yeah,
because it's all Dragonflight stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of reputation, sorry, got a little ahead of myself there. Speaking of professions, usually that ties into reputation, but reputation is different in Dragonflight. There's a lot of things. Blizzard went above and beyond to change just about everything we know about this game to be different, because now reputation is a renown grind instead of a rep grind, so it's a little bit more exciting in that sense.
A little bit. The good news is people be afraid when they hear the word renown. There's no power items tied to renown anymore. No. It's all cosmetic. There's a few items that are going to be good for your first time going through renown while you're leveling and whatnot, but it's account wide, so it's not, well, I shouldn't
with
say
an asterisk. Yeah.
I believe they did implement, you do get a renown boost on your alts.
Yeah, once you get to level 10 renown, you get a boost on alts up to level 10. And then once you hit level 20, you get a boost up to level 20 on your alts. But if your alt is at, let's say your main is at 10, and you get your alt to 11 before your main, that's now would be considered your main. So you would have to get a character up to level 20 in order to get a boost from 10 to 20, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but any of the items that you get from there are really only going to be useful your first time through.
Yes,
so
absolutely. Yeah,
it's not that big of a deal. There are a few recipes for professions behind the renown, but they are all relatively low in the tree. So you don't have to get all the way up to, I believe the cap is 40. You don't have to get all the way up to 40 to get those profession recipes. They're all in the neighborhood of 15 to 20.
No more exalted grinds. That's good to hear for professions, for those who have like 20 profession characters.
As someone who is still not ground out the rep for, what is it, the Venthyr one to get I still don't have that one. I'm friendly, quote unquote.
Don't worry, Jazzy, I'm not either. So these are all the biggest changes that are happening with Dragonflight, all the more kind of relaxing, chill stuff. But there's dungeons, there's raids, there's seasonal affix, right? Mythic Plus. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Mythic Plus, one of my favorite things in the whole game. Yeah, Thundering was complicated, and then they made it stupid easy, and then they made it less stupid easy, and now it's just really fun. Like, it's,
is it?
Yeah, it's you just there's everybody gets the damage buff, hooray, and it's like 15-30% more damage or haste or something like that. It's really good. And then you just have to get rid of it before 15 seconds by standing on somebody with the opposite one. And you can just completely ignore it and just all stack, and then it all goes away. Or you can try to game it, and you benefit from it with some risk of, not clearing.
There really isn't an affix where people are stacking on top of each other, is there?
No.
Yeah, because quaking's the opposite, where you have to spread out.
Yeah, but you only want to stack if you want to just get rid of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you don't want to do that until like the 15
But
second
even
mark.
just two
You're
people,
really trying to
even
optimize.
just two people stacking on top of one another, like there's no really like stacking mechanic, so it's very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And then with Thundering, not only do we have the dungeons themselves, I believe there's 8 Dragonflight dungeons, but only 4 of them are going to be in the M plus
Yes,
rotation, combined with 4 from old expansions.
and
One
then
of my favorite Shadow Moon Burial Grounds. I love that dungeon for no reason. Like, it's not like spectacular in any way, other than it's just a good, solid dungeon.
and season two, we obviously won't know the rotation just yet, but it's gonna be the other four Dragonflight dungeons with more four new ones.
Yeah, whole
So
different 4 brought back from who knows when.
yeah, we don't know that
So
yet, but for those wondering what the Mythic Plus are, Jazzy mentioned Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, Court of Stars from Legion, Halls of Valor from Legion, and Temple of the Jade Serpent from Mop. So we're getting something as old as Mop, which is interesting.
I mean, it's not only is it from Mop, but Mop was in the days of challenge mode
Yeah.
before M plus. So you have been warned. Stuff may or may not be broken.
Hopefully it's not broken. I know they had to do a lot of tuning on Halls of Valor to make it like doable because it was really hard with how much trash you had to kill and the trash was just hard. I heard all about that from people. I didn't do it myself. Just life has been really crazy for me. I actually haven't been able to play much of the game, but I've heard that Halls of Valor had to get a ton of adjustments because it just was not made to be M plus.
Well, it was just not
Yeah,
without artifacts
yeah,
and not without,
without
Legion
artifacts.
style scaling.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, well, yeah. So Legion was M plus, but like it was completely different compared to how it is now.
Completely different. I
Yeah.
actually did get a chance to run Halls of Valor on the beta several times, and Herja hurts.
Oh, of
No one's
course.
surprised there. But the mechanic of Herja, not the shield blowback thing that tanks have to worry about and everybody else just dodges, but the one from the light side that radiates out the things you have to dodge. Getting hit by even one of those was killing our group at like tens. Like, it should not be doing that much damage, and it was real rough. But they got to a point where you get back into the saddle of things. You're like, oh yeah, I remember this mechanic, and not a big deal. But I'm excited for all the much older ones, the Temple of the Jade Serpent, which is again one of my favorites. I loved Mop. Mop is one of my favorite expansions of all time. So
I
to
started
have
during
Temple there.
WAD. I started during WAD, so I did not experience MOP.
WAD was good for raiders. Like, people gave a
Yeah,
whole bunch of flack
that's what I
for,
always say. I loved WAD, but I was a raider and a PvPer back in WAD. I loved PvP. And I was maining a Disc Priest for raid, but I was playing Holy Paladin in PvP, and I loved it. But yeah, there wasn't really anything to do outside of instances in WAD.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was still a teenager. I was raiding like 5 days a week at the time because I had nothing better to do.
You're making me feel real old. Thank you. Um, I enjoyed the WAD, and I just somebody there was a tweet yesterday of what was your favorite experience for WAD, and my answer was getting to play a full week before the Horde. Because of the launch day woes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, for those who didn't play, the Horde garrison for WAD was hardcore broken for up to about a week. So they just could not progress, and that's one of the key things of leveling was you had to open up your garrisons. They were just stuck for a week.
See,
And Alliance didn't have this issue.
I don't remember that, and I played on launch day.
Yeah, it was funny. I
So
was watching it, and I feel bad for the Horde people, slightly.
I would have been Horde, and I played on launch day, and I don't remember that at all. So I'm just like, whatever. If that happened, it probably happened, but maybe I was on a smaller server. I don't really remember exactly, but it was so long ago. My characters have been many different factions, many different races. You know how it is after years of playing this game.
I don't. All my characters are gnome and have always been gnome. What's your problem? I don't know. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, I guess Jazzy just plays gnomes. It's fine. Don't worry
No,
about it.
no, no master race. What can I say?
Vault of the Incarnates. The new
The raid.
raid. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been here for this long. We've just now talking about the raid. Holy mackerel!
Wait.
Yes, the raid. It's looking to be a solid raid for an intro
Mm-hmm.
raid. It's nothing special. Like I'm not gonna. It's no Nighthold. Let's just say that. But it's not bad.
Yeah, it looks interesting. Um
It's I'm a little concerned about spoiler. There's a boss that's very icy, and your character slides.
re-
Like
no.
yeah,
Really?
you hit that W key to go forward, and you kind of don't move for a little bit, and then okay, you start going forward, and then you stop, and then you just kind of keep sliding a bit. Yeah, it's an
Oh
ice cavern, so
no.
ice
Hearing
happens.
that and then thinking about Mythic? Oh no.
Yeah.
You're gonna have no control of your character. That's gonna be crazy.
I'm going to be taking bets on how many people fall off because you have to climb a bunch of stairs that
Oh,
are icy.
oh no. Blizzard, what do you do? That's gonna get nerfed real quick, I guarantee you.
I hope not, because that sounds like tremendous amounts of fun.
It sounds like
Also, I'm a bit of a
fun,
sadist.
but it sounds like fun, but at the same time, I'm thinking like world first Mythic Raiders. There's no way this is gonna stay the same.
Oh, they're the least of my concern. Their job, in my opinion, is to give us entertainment. So make it as
Also
hard as
true.
possible,
It's
and let's just watch them struggle.
it. I agree that like the longer the world first, the more entertainment we get. But we saw what happened with
Oh, I'm totally
with
sympathetic to the
Sotfo.
players themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's real rough to be, I was watching Max did a recap for Sofo, and they had a whole bunch of clips from like when they first got to, because they traveled, it was to Boston, right, I believe, to an actual location to physically be raiding together. And it was like before they actually started the raid, he's
Hmm.
like, yeah, it was great. We were able to get here a full week early, and that's just amazing for us to do. And he's watching this back going, well, that comment aged like milk.
Yeah, if those who aren't aware of exactly what happened, any teams that traveled like Mythic or sorry, what was the not Mythic, Method? No, not Method. What's their team name again? Limit,
Echo.
Echo.
Limit and Echo were the ones that
Yes,
did the full
yes.
race the
Sorry.
world first thing.
Yeah, Limit and Echo. Limit took all their raiders and put them into this giant arena for the event because like why wouldn't you? But the problem that I heard at least that they had was the race wasn't over. They still had like a couple weeks left to go and they were getting kicked out because they didn't pay for that long to be there. They didn't expect to be doing the world first race for 3 4 weeks. It was only usually it only lasts like a week and a half.
Yeah, they got there a week early,
Mm-hmm.
and then the race took a full like 3 solid weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody planned on it going that long. So they were
Nobody.
away from their families, traveling in hotel for months. And like I can totally see how that really strains a person, their family, their work. I mean, not all of them are just full-time streamers and gamers. Some of them actually have jobs that they
Yeah.
got to go back to,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, the dream, right? Not having to, but that's beside the point. Yeah, it was rough. I feel bad that for the players, but as someone who was watching the world first, it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. And it's good. It's definitely great entertainment, but when it goes on too long or it starts affecting real life people, that's a problem. And I think Blizzard recognized that with Sotfo because it wasn't it like a lot of the world first had nothing to do with the race taking long. It was more to do with a lot of design choices Blizzard made with those boss fights. So they have said there's never going to be another Anduin or another Jailer, and hopefully that's true because yeah, seeing another world first race go on like that, I don't think they want that to happen again.
I think
so. Or at least let them test the bosses because that was another problem. People didn't want spoilers, so Blizzard was like, "All right, we're not going to test the last 3 bosses of Sotfo." And
in fairness, though, I think the last 3 bosses that they didn't test,
yes,
Lords, Ragalan, and Jailer, were some of the best bosses they've designed. They are great bosses. They are fantastic. All 3 of those are actual legit bangers, and they are hard.
Yes.
The issue comes with
it was Anduin mostly.
You start with Halandris before they nerfed it with the 30-second buff,
yeah.
right? And you're swapping bombs. 1 drop and the raid wipes, you gotta start over.
Yeah.
Anduin, you miss a star, you miss an interrupt, you miss a CC, you don't clear people out in time, it's a wipe. You get hit by the wall, it's a wipe. You don't kill the ad fast enough, it's a wipe. There are too many binary pass-fail mechanics between Halandris, Anduin, Ragalan, Lords, and even Jailer that's too hard of a progression in the wrong way.
Yeah.
If you just look at, and if you were to take Lords, Ragalan, and Jailer and put them in a separate raid, and the raid ends at Anduin, great raid. Like solid 10 out of 10. That's fantastic. And as a perfect end boss, we're great. And then you have a 3 boss raid with those last 3 to just finish everything off. Fantastic. Wonderful. It's that it just doesn't stop getting harder. You start at a 10 with Halandris, and then Anduin is 11, and then Lords, and then it's too grueling right in a row. And that's the design that needs to change. And I think they did that with Vault. And you do not have that with Vault.
Yeah, Blizzard had said shortly after the World First Race ended that they're not going to be making any mechanics like that going on in the future, or like that many in a row with bosses like that, because that was a little crazy. I will say that Castle Nathria was probably the best raid of the expansion for me. So
I would agree. Nathria was great, and not just because Denathrius was an amazing fight, but because the pacing leading up to it was appropriate, right? You had Sludge Fist, then the whatever they are, Stone Legion generals, and then Denathrius, Danny Boy. That's a solid, progression of things, and it's not too bad, especially after you get there from Council and Sun King and whatever. It led up to it appropriately. In doing my research for Vault, it looks like we're back to that leading up to
a big bad guy. Yeah.
Without getting into spoilers. There's the DPS check, there's the time check, there's the mechanics, there's the splits, blah blah blah. But you'll get a little bit of
stuff. Yeah. What's interesting about Vault as well is the new item level tiering.
I think they did that to really help out the M+ers.
Yes, they did, which is awesome to see as an M+er myself, or at least I was at the start of Shadowlands, and then Season 4, I was like, I'm not doing any. I'm raid logging in Season 4. I don't want to do any of this.
I don't blame you. I think
that's how I felt.
Season 4 was definitely an interesting experiment with some things that worked and some things that didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But going into Dragonflight and the M+, not only is M+ going to be harder because the scaling changes, but also it's meant to be a form of progression in its own right, which means that the item level tiers and whatnot actually reflect the difficulty. There's not going to be Mythic Raiders switching over and doing 15s to get Mythic level gear because it's easier content. No, they'll switch over and do 15s and get the same level content or same difficulty for the same gear that they're getting at a raid. So I'd be curious to see in the Race of the World First how much they actually go in and do M+ splits to get gear.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think they'll go back to and do heroic splits to get to get gear, sure, but I don't think they'll dungeon for gear as much. Maybe
And
for specific items, but
and also with raiding comes the new loot system, the new old loot system.
well, that's actually in right now. If you
Yes,
raid
yeah.
season 4, the need greed stuff with some extra flair and spice in there.
Is it still
Yeah,
is it still broken where if you roll on two items you can get like two of the same items, you can get both of them? Is that still happening?
no,
Okay.
unless you are the only
Phew.
person to roll need on both,
Oh,
right?
okay. Gotcha.
So if you're the only person to roll need, it'll go to uh, yeah, it does it correctly is the long and short of this, right? So if somebody's rolling need but it's for their off spec, it recognizes that it's their off spec because of your loot specialization.
Yeah.
And that's treated as a lower quality quote unquote need roll than somebody who's needing for main spec, which is good. Yay, great, that's fantastic. That's exactly what we want. Same thing for greed, same thing for duplicate items. But the beauty of it all is even if you win it on a need roll, you can still trade it.
Yes.
Everything is still tradable. There's no
Everything is
restriction on
tradable now.
tradability.
Yeah. No restrictions.
So
You don't have to have a higher item level equipped, which is great.
so if you want to do Master Looter, you can. Just need on everything. Everybody else doesn't or passes, and then you just trade it how you want.
Oh, I didn't even think about
it's
doing
good.
that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
exactly. There are no issues other than just it's an extra hoop to jump through to actually get your Master Looter if you wanted that. Other than that, it's passive, completely passive and
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss from me. Mythic Raider here. Chef's kiss. Perfect.
Yeah, it'll be
No,
interesting as someone who plays all three specs of monk, but now I'm switching to my paladin, but I also play all three specs of my paladin, so it'll be interesting.
just make sure that your loot specialization is set to what you want.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll be treating it as off-spec rolls.
I change it per boss, honestly.
Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't change anything.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I'm excited for that.
It's gonna be really, really awesome. And the BOEs are also changing, kind of.
Kind of. It's gonna be interesting for the BOE market for sure. It's been a bit since I've looked at exactly how that's going to work here, but I don't know if they're going to be deterministic or more plentiful, less plentiful, but it's going to be paying attention to my gold reserves.
What I'm reading here is trash mobs no longer drop BOE items. It's these lieutenant enemies once per week per difficulty.
Yeah, so I think they're guaranteed, but they're fewer.
Yes.
So that we fund our mythic progression through a lot of BOE sales.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to work with our gold. Now I'm also curious because professions look like they're going to take a metric ton of gold as well. How much my wallet's going to be screaming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not flush. I know many of my raiders that just barely have enough for repair sometimes. So, yeah.
We like to gamble sometimes, and that does not go well to some people.
I don't know what you're talking about. I always win death rolls, and by that I mean never.
Something we didn't put on our little list here is evokers, so we should start talking about that.
How did we skip that?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
I don't know. It's not on the list. I think because I made the list, I just forgot, and you didn't notice it either, so... But yeah, evokers!
They can't tank. Whatever, they're a class. They're green. They do stuff. No,
they're teal. Yeah. It's not green.
Sure. That's a version of green. Yeah. Yeah, they're Drakthir evokers. And I like how lawyer Ian put it when they first revealed this. Drakthir can only be evokers, and evokers can only be Drakthir, because that answers all the questions you need to know. Yeah, they're an interesting little class. I'm going to be curious to see how their tuning works out in both DPS and healing. Healing, they're looking pretty solid. DPS are looking kind of meh, which is weird.
Here's a really weird quirk with something to go on with Drakthir and evokers right now, is that they don't work. You can't really play one with add-ons Like bartender or LVI or anything that changes your bars. You can't. It doesn't work.
I I I don't know if that's still true.
Okay,
I know a bunch of people. It was very broken.
it
Like
was
my
very
whole class
broken.
bar was just non-existent when I
I
was leveling mine.
Yeah,
Um,
and the reason for that, if you don't know people, is that um Blizzard implemented a couple of new things with evokers being empowered spells, so they change depending on how I don't know exactly what the empowered spells are, but they change. And then part of it too is the new click or hold to cast. So you can hold down your 1, 2, 3 key, whatever, and just cast repeatedly. And evokers need that for certain spells. And the both of those things were broken when it came to anything that wasn't default UI, default action bar UIs.
so I have some notes here. The hold to cast is and this is my min-maxi coming out. It's a DPS loss because
Yes.
latency exists, and it doesn't account for that. And if you're ever curious about clipping cast, please contact me. I have a whole dialogue on clipping cast based on your latency, and yes, I've done it, and it's hard, but it's very rewarding. It's close to about a 5 to 7% DPS increase just doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But press to cast doesn't account for that. So it is actually a DPS loss if you're curious and wondering about that. It is substantially simpler.
For a lot of
Um,
classes. For Evoker, that probably won't be the case because it is needed for certain abilities.
right. And power is you hold it down and you get basically like 3 checkpoints and you just make the spell more powerful, quote unquote
Okay.
asterisk exclamation point number 1 here with that. Um, and there's three, I think there's 3, maybe 4 tiers of empower. But yeah,
Gotcha.
depending on when you release it, does slightly different damage. Um, and I say asterisk on the 1 because it's actually on single target, you don't want to empower it, but on multi-target you do because of reasons that are ridiculous in my opinion, but whatever. From a game design, if I press and hold a button to empower it, it should do more damage. I don't.
Yes.
That seems straightforward. Why would I do a rank 1 instead of a rank 3 unless I absolutely have to?
I so,
No.
you know what that sounds like to me? Sounds like classic.
Right? So, don't get me wrong. Spell ranking back in Classic, totally understand. I get that, but this is not
This
that.
is not
This is
that, yeah.
something weird. Yeah. So, but yeah, Voker kind of broke a bunch of stuff. As I understand it right now, the DPS can't get to a very crucial talent that will basically
Oh.
define their class. So they're not doing terribly good in pre-patch, but they're only here for 2 weeks before they can get to level. So
Yes.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We were very particular on Empire of who is allowed to play Evoker as their main
Okay.
because oh look, it's a new flavor, everybody wants to play it, and we're like, no.
I surprisingly only had on Warlords only had 2 of my raiders ask to play Evoker. I was like, "We'll figure it out." And one of them ended up being like, "I don't mind playing a healer if that's what you need." I'm like, "Cool. We have a healing Evoker and we have a DPS Evoker." So I think that's going to be really really good for our raid um diversity.
Yeah. So Evoker brings a buff, a raid buff, which is movement speed,
Yeah.
and I believe movement speed cooldown reduction, if I recall. Aspect of the Bronze is what it's called, and we're still debating on what we're going to shorten that to, because you have Int, Fort, Stam, Mark, and
Wouldn't it just be Braun?
uh, no, because Braun is a thing. I have Braun. He's my bro. Fist tap, Braun Cena.
That's not going to last very long though.
Oh yeah, it is. Braun Cena is still around for
Oh, is he in the
yeah.
talent tree for
Yep.
monks? Okay.
Yep.
I did not know that. I was not aware.
Yeah, I can't get to him right now, but he's there. But still, Braun is stolen. Bronze is too long, and also I don't like it. So we're debating with some other possibly more lewd terms that'll be hilarious.
Gotcha.
TBD. Related
TBD.
to names, in there's the monk talent with the cat statue, the statue of the white
Yes,
tiger.
yeah.
Peak of Serenity, the monk Discord, decided to name it Katu. I dislike this name, so I put it to my raid team, and I said, what is the cat statue's name? The answer is Karen.
Those are both funny. I kind of like Catchu. That's funny.
But now we have Dave and Karen.
Dave and Karen. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. Um, yeah, evokers will be cool. It'll be cool to have. Be cool to see them in raid. It'll be cool to see how goofy they look because they look so goofy.
I don't know what you're talking about. Scaly Jazzy is majestic in all ways.
They look even more goofy than gnomes, I would say.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I feel attacked.
Just kidding. That was just annoying Jazzy. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else. We need to get Nye in here, actually.
We do. One thing about Evoker healers that I wanted to point out is their healing CD, the heals back 50% of all damage taken within the past like 8 seconds or something like that, is insane.
Yeah.
That looks amazing. As long as your raid team can live even marginally a giant hit, it will carry some of the big stuff coming in Vault. I'm excited to play around with that a lot.
Yeah, Evoker is going to be definitely very interesting to see, and like I'm excited to kind of see a new healing class. And I remember when monks were getting announced, and I was like, Mistweaver, oh my god, it's gonna be so good. It wasn't for a while.
No.
And then now it's having its time in the spotlight, aside from Mythic Plus. But I'm a healing main. I've always been a healing main in every game that I play. So when I saw that there was a new healer, I got excited, and then I looked at it and I said no. It's not the healing class for me, but I'm glad that we have somebody on our team who wants to heal as one. So
that's good.
Yeah.
I think tank balance between top and bottom tank is actually very close. Like it's what I would call within the margin of error. So it's one of those play what you're best at, play what you enjoy most. Of course, people will min max like crazy, but tank balance is fantastic and actually was in Shadowlands as well for the most part. Sorry, rest in peace, Proud Warrior. But it's been very good, and I think healers are getting there finally, where they're all doing similar HPS in various different circumstances. They can all do somewhat the same damage. They're not quite on the level as tanks, but it's definitely a play the healer you're best at instead of, oh, we can't take a disc priest to this because they're dog crap, type of deal.
Yeah, but any team who's probably going for world first, well, all the world first teams are probably going to have specific comps that they want to follow, which is going to be interesting to see what they end up choosing. And I don't want that to come off as like, oh, in order to, beat Mythic, you have to have like a world first team comp. You don't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's always interesting to see what world first raiders do, because they find these quirks and these weird bugs and things that certain classes can do. Like there is a whole thing with Jailer and a class being able to a weapon or something doing insane damage chunks where they got to phase the secret phase way quicker than they should have.
Oh, so yeah, that was a bug / unique interactions with Mortal Strike from Warriors and the Mage Mirrors of Torment.
Yeah.
Vent their ability. And it was just completely nullifying a shield or greatly reducing its health or something like that. And it legit made the fight substantially easier. I think that's how
Echo got their world first. So there was a lot of debate on whether they deserved it or not.
Oh no, all of the liquid limit or whatever they were going at the time, Echo pieces,
they were probably all doing it.
They were all doing it. So and they had all of them too had contacted Blizzard and said, is this intended? We don't want to get banned for this. And Blizzard was like, we don't know why that's happening at all.
Yeah.
We're still trying to figure it out
They
ourselves, but
eventually
no, we're not going to do anything.
they eventually fixed it, but I think they fixed it after World First was over.
Yes, yeah. Substantially after. There was an interview with Morgan Day, and he was like, we still, like, several weeks after, and they were like, we still don't know why that happened, why it did that. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, if they didn't have a mage playing Venthyr, they would have never figured that out, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's very interesting to see what World First is going to look like with the new talent system, with everything, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of profession gear some people might end up wearing at World First. Because if y'all don't know, something I forgot to mention too when we were talking about professions is there's going to be mythic level profession gear,
And it's tied behind mythic level, or like reagents that drop in mythic raid.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be easy to get either. So if you're wanting to make some gold, hint hint nudge nudge, see what you could do there, and maybe sell some gear to the world first people.
Yeah. Well, our guest, one of our two guests for this podcast, has just shown up. We have Nye from the events team, banking team. What do you do? I'm not totally certain.
I am the chancellor for banking and the recruiter for Team Tsunami.
Yeah. All right. Nye, what's going on? How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
Doing pretty all right.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Nye.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Royal Emissary for Banking.
So we asked Nye to come on the podcast today to talk a little bit about what banking might look like in Dragonflight for Eternal Kingdom.
It's not complicated at all.
So banking, I think, will look similar to how it presently has looked for the last 2 expansions. It underwent a big overhaul during BFA. There wasn't a whole lot to banking when Jazzy and I onboarded to that section of the guild, and we really built up a whole team for the guild. So it will look like it does right now, basically. We'll have the commissary. We don't know if we'll have a transmute program at this point, but if we don't, we'll find another place for our current transmute ambassador to go to. We will be doing raid kits for our raid teams and the guild fun runs and for the guild special events. We will also be running a crafting program. So we're in the process right now of building a team of crafters. And what we'll be looking at doing is, because there's different levels of crafters and different specializations for crafters, we will be funneling guild materials and some gold, not draining the guild bank here, but some gold into those specific trusted crafters to help them level up those specific specs to make it more streamlined. So if you're looking for a specific piece of loot or something like that that a crafter can make, then it'll be easier to access through the guild for your team, or an inscriptor, something along those lines. So it'll keep a lot of the same framework that we've got. Commissary will start up again, and the raid kits will roll out again. You'll see a lot of the same stuff. We'll be sponsoring events. We'll be sponsoring farming parties and a lot of that stuff. We'll be running the tier raids again.
The tier raids?
Yeah. Farming. The race.
Oh,
yeah,
the
races.
race. Right, yeah.
I know farming runs are going to be extra fun with Dragonriding, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. Nye, do you have anything you want to say about maybe the profession system, since you dive a little bit into that, I think?
I really like the profession system. It's kind of taking me back to Burning Crusade. And I really enjoyed the way that you had the specializations in that expansion. It's a little different than it was in Burning Crusade, in that one it was tied to quests and you could only choose one. This one, once you get enough points, you'll be able to branch out into all of the different ones. But I really like that you'll be able to specialize, and there's kind of a niche for every single person, and there'll be more of a draw to really access a lot of those professions, and they'll be more sought after, right? So you'll have somebody on your team that is a file master, and you'll have somebody that is a potion master, and um, I think it'll give a lot more utility to some of those professions instead of everybody just going like zoom, 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 and getting through those professions and then everybody's got it, right? It'll really make it a lot more of an immersive experience, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know maybe some people aren't, but professions to me really, I have very happy children. Professions to me really add a lot of fun to the game, and so it's something that I'm really happy that they're making a call back to.
Yeah,
I
that's is super cool. Um, you also handle contests and stuff too, correct?
I do handle some contests for the guild, and I do help with some contests. And so we'll do like raffles throughout the year. Some are for in-game things, some are for world prizes. Um, we have we'll raffle off pets, and most of those are to raise money for the guild bank.
Um,
Um, I'm just trying to think. We do 50-50 draws. So people will buy a ticket. The prices on those will kind of vary. And then the winner will get 50% of whatever the pot will be. We run betting on certain things. We're getting ready to start our race to level 70 internally for the guild. So people will bet on what class they think within the guild will be first to 70, and then we'll do a race to world first betting for the entire guild as well.
all right, here's an idea for a contest with PvP dragon riding. We should have a tournament, dragon riding tournament.
That's also
oh
been discussed, and
Oh,
I think it would
okay.
be a really cool thing to do. We
just have a
now
race day.
have Yeah, we now have an RE for events, which is really nice. I'm super happy to have that again. It's Itzy, and she is amazing to work with.
Of course, it's
So,
Itzy. Who else would it be?
right? And so I'm super happy to have that again. And there's a lot of stuff that banking and events can really, really work together on and collaborate. And it's so nice to have that counterpoint again.
I would just like to point out that your two favorite people are gnomes. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. We are amazing in all ways. Yep, yep.
My favorite person is actually a human paladin.
No, no, no. He doesn't count.
And his name is Ironstones, and he plays a tank, and he is father to the Iron Spawn.
Yeah, but you're obligated to like them.
For those
You choose to like
For
me.
those listening who might not be in Internal Kingdom, Anaya is talking about her husband.
Yeah,
All right, well,
who I met playing WoW.
yeah, it all comes full circle.
It totally does.
All right, well, thanks, Nai, for hopping in here and discussing some stuff with us and letting us know a little bit about what's going on with EK and the banking system for dragon riding, dragonflight. Oh my god, so many dragon words.
Right?
Darn.
It's just dragon, dragon, dragon,
Yeah.
dragon.
And we have Shay here to talk about the Streamathon, right? That's what we're talking about?
That is what we're talking about.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Do you want to maybe give a quick explanation on what goes on within the EK Streamathon?
Okay, so typically what we do for our streamathons is we choose a charity, typically around the holidays. It's something to do with children. We set up a stream charity link through, usually we use Tiltify. That's who we use, right, Jazzy?
It is.
And then we take donations directly through Tiltify. All proceeds go directly to the charity. And then what we do as a guild is we set up key run teams, a tank, a healer, and 2 DPS. And then we have people who sign keys up that want their keys run, and our groups run people through keys.
And how long is the event usually?
So typically we run the event for, we've been doing 12 hours. At one point we were doing 24 hours, but we've kind of steered away from that because we were only having one or two teams that were running the 24 hours.
What, you mean not everybody wants to run keys for 24 hours straight without sleeping and barely eating?
Yeah,
You don't
jeez.
say.
I mean, not everybody's you, Jazzy.
I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah, probably. There'd be too many gnomes. We don't need more.
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, Jazzy.
Uh-huh.
What day is this Streamathon taking place?
So it's going to be on Saturday, December 17th.
December
Very
17th.
close to right as the season starts, so
Yeah.
everything could be nice and fresh. There should
Oh,
be
yeah.
a lot of interest there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's what, the second or third week in? Something like
The
that?
second weekend.
Yeah. I know a couple of my team members were talking about making a team for the Streamathon, so I'm very excited to see how they do.
I'm
Yeah,
still
it's-
squaring away one more spot for Team Jellyfish.
Yeah, we're working on the team that I run with. One of our members just had a baby, so I don't know if she's going to be on board to run with us. So we may have to find a replacement DPS, but I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Oh, there's plenty of DPS players in Eternal Kingdom. I'm sure you'll find somebody.
I don't think it's going to be a problem. We typically pull, our team is all from Harbinger, so I don't think it'll be a problem. We'll put someone on deck in case you can't do it.
There should be a running bet on how many evokers are going to be in the Streamathon. Like, on teams.
Oh, God. Oh, on teams?
Yeah.
That's actually probably not as many as you might think.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have as many people express interest in swapping mains to Evoker as we thought we were going to.
Oh, interesting. I know Warlords has two swapping to Evoker, one healer, one DPS, so.
So we had 5 on Harbinger that were interested in testing it out. I think we had 2 healers and 3 DPS, but I was one of them that was considering it, but I've played a shaman for many expansions, and it plays very different than a shaman, and I don't know how I feel about it yet.
Fair enough. But yeah, so Streamathon, December 17th. What time does it start?
It's 10 a.m. server.
10 a.m. server, Pacific time, for those who might not know what that is. And
All the keys are streamed through various EK streamers. Donations go directly to the charity.
there's the talk
and-
show that kind of happens at the EK Rating Twitch channel.
Yeah, that's always a great resource. So, what we've been doing and what the plan is to do this time is we're going to alternate different streamers on a rotation. I think we aimed for, I don't remember if she switched it every key or every other key the last time, but we're going to try to go with that again.
Do we have a charity picked out, or is that still being worked on?
We do have a charity picked out. We are going with a charity called Gamers Outreach. They
Oh.
provide video games to critically ill children in hospitals.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, this is our first time doing a charity with them. I've been in contact with one of the chair members of the charity, and she's super excited to work with us and just to see how things go. We're hoping to smash what we did donation-wise out of the water.
What
for this
was
one.
for a little bit of reference for people on how much ends up getting donated? What was the numbers from the last Streamathon, if you happen to have that?
So, the last one, it was about $5,100
Mm.
that we raised. Typically, it's usually between $2,000 and $3,000 that we raise, but we had a bunch of people on board with helping us promote outside. I've spoke to one of the admins in the Raider.io Discord, and they're going to help us do some promotion outside again as well.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's always good to get their assist there for the promoting.
Yeah, so we typically promote in a lot of the bigger Discords. as well as our social media platform. We usually do the World of Warcraft. Wowhead, Raider.io typically doesn't do it on the Discord, but they will share social media posts. I've been working with a couple of other guilds on other servers. They're doing their admin meetings to see if they're going to let us promote over there. Here, probably in about a week or so, I'll get a team of people within the guild to help cross-server promote as well.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of promoting going on, so I'm very excited to see how busy it ends up being this time, because I remember last time it was quite busy. There was a lot of people signing up, even from outside guild.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's cool.
from the exposure. That's the great part about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, having the ability to intermingle Horde and Alliance kind of helps out a lot too.
Yeah, that was a big part of it, because that's what the last Streamathon happened shortly after all the cross-faction stuff came out, right?
Yep. Yeah, we so in the past we've had both Horde and Alliance groups. It's kind of nice that we can just kind of smash everybody together now, and we don't have to worry about that. There's no digging through the key spreadsheet to find out, oh hey, this person's got this key. Wait, are they Horde or Alliance?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter anymore.
It makes it much more convenient for running and finding somebody on the spreadsheet. You can just pick whatever, and it won't really affect how it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely made that part of it a little bit easier.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to the Streamathon, and thank you for coming and talking about it, Shay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. Everybody involved always has fun. It's a lot of planning, but it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
As someone who has participated in every Streamathon since I joined the guild, it is always a blast.
Every Streamathon since I joined was the last one. I haven't been here for more than one, so I'm excited.
God, I think I'm on 8. How many have
No,
you done? No, way more than that.
No, it's more than that, Jazzy. You
Jeez.
drug my warrior through the one before I took over doing social media. That was,
wow.
I think this is number 12 or 13 that I've been in charge of social media for. So it's been more than 8 for you.
Yeah, it's been a bit. And
wow.
Team Jellyfish, because Team Jellyfish is amazing.
Well, that's awesome. You heard it here first, folks. Jazzy's old. I'm just kidding.
We all knew this already. I'm old and crotchety.
I don't want to hear it, Jazzy.
All right. Thank you so much, Shay. And let's get on with the rest of the podcast. This has been another episode of the Roundtable Report. And we hope everybody in EK has a good time in Dragonflight, because I think a lot of the raiders are. So,
yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to seeing you guys, and if anybody has an idea for banking or an event, let me know. A lot of the ideas have come from guildies, like the commissary and a bunch of the contests and stuff. So we're super open.
There you go. Heard it here first. Contact Nye if you have any ideas that you want to throw at her way for banking or events. And we'll see y'all later.